business plan is a written document that answers the questions of what is being done, who is doing it, and within what time frame certain activities for the realization of an entrepreneurial venture have to be carried out. A business plan is a blueprint for the future business of the entrepreneur, craftsman, so he or she should be personally involved in its design and fully understand what the plan is about. Entrepreneur's responsibility is to collect as much quality information as possible on all aspects of the business on his own. Before creating a business plan, the entrepreneur should assess the basic input elements of the business plan. First, the price of your product or service. Second, the size of sales of products or services, or the number of pieces and the total realization. Third, the size of expenses, product costs, salaries, taxes and other expenses. And fourth, possible additional sources of financing, loans, grants and similar. When creating a business plan, it is useful to know a few things. First, a business plan requires time and money, which is returned multiple times later. In addition, the business plan helps to clearly see the business opportunity, easier to direct and lead business activities, attract potential partners, find sources of funding. With a business plan, the entrepreneur presents his business idea and answers the following questions: what product will you produce? Who will be your customers? How will you sell? Why will customers buy your product? What quantities do you plan to sell and at what price? How much will production, sales and marketing cost you? How much money you need for the project and how you will finance it? How much you will earn? The better the business plan is developed and the more likely the business venture is to succeed. A business plan can have a different number of parts. It is important to know that there is no strict methodology for making a business plan. Different business ideas can be presented in different ways. However, every business plan must contain basic parts. In addition to these basic parts of the business plan, other units can be freely formed, depending on the style of writing, type of investment and so on. The following is a description of several basic parts of a business plan. The first part of the business plan is a description of the entrepreneur and his business strength. This part of the business plan answers the question who. It is important to present yourself, your competencies and the experience that led to the entrepreneurial venture. It is crucial to explain what the entrepreneur is doing, how long he has been in business, what his experience is and who his main collaborators on the project are, if any. If the entrepreneur is a beginner, it is necessary to explain the previous experience of the founder on the basis of which the entrepreneur embarks on a business venture. The second part of the business plan is a description of the entrepreneurial idea. A description of an entrepreneurial idea is a short description of the origin of the idea, the product and the potential customers for whom the product is intended. A good business idea does not require a large initial investment or hiring more employees in the first year of operation. The idea is focused on a market where there is no unmet demand, has a defined competitive advantage and answers questions about what will be produced, how, for which target market and why. The third part of the business plan is market analysis. Answers the questions, what, when, how much. This chapter explains the size of the market, the customer need that the product or service meets, the competitive advantage of the product or service, and other relevant information about the market in which it will operate. In accordance with the needs of the market, a projection of the amount of sales that can be realized should be made. The fourth part of the business plan is the technical and technological description of the project. The key question is how. This chapter describes the technical potentials and capabilities of entrepreneurs, meeting the prescribed standards, method of distribution, services and customer care. The fifth part of the business plan is location analyses. The question where is answered. In this chapter it is necessary to explain why the location where the activity will be performed is suitable for this type of product service. The sixth chapter of the business plan is the financial basis of the project. This chapter is actually a summary of the information obtained in the previous chapters. All available data is displayed numerically. It is necessary to make projections over the years with the total revenues and expenditures that will be generated. This provides information on the cost-effectiveness and liquidity of the project. Chapter 7 is the evaluation of project effectiveness. This chapter contains the answer to the question of whether this project is profitable, or whether it can be expected to return the invested funds in a reasonable period. With the help of the projections made, the entrepreneur can decide whether it makes sense to enter into an entrepreneurial venture, regardless of the funds used. The last chapter of the business plan is the final evaluation of the project. This chapter provides a summary of the key parameters that justify an investment. Based on the facts presented in the previous chapters and the conducted economic and financial analysis, a final decision is made on whether or not to accept the business plan. A business plan is an important document and the entrepreneur does it primarily for himself, and only then because of the demands of the environment.